Are you a solopreneur looking to 2 times your revenue to fund your lifestyle and give back? Well, this podcast is for you. We bring you inspirational guests sharing actionable tips to solve many of the struggles you face each and every day. And now over to your host, Paul Higgins.
Hello to the Build, Live, Give podcast. If you're a first-time listener, welcome. And if you enjoy it, please subscribe. If you're a regular, thanks for your support. Love to get your feedback at paul@buildlivegive.com. It means the world to me when you do. Our guest today is someone who spent his first 10 years building strength from having cerebral palsy. He went into the corporate banking world for 5 years and in January 2020 left to start his own life coaching business. He was running it on the side for 2 years, but it was difficult due to the fact of the banking code and regulations. He's a mindset coach, and what a time to be helping others with this, given we are right in the middle of one of the world's largest pandemics, COVID-19. So why listen? How to see a positive light in every situation. And Paul's background is a great way of how he frames this. How to have gratitude in your life and how to improve your LinkedIn profile. I actually do a live feedback session on his profile, and it will be very valuable for you. The guest, or Paul, as I've let the cat out of the bag, has a podcast called Actions and Limits. You can find out more at a calltoaction.coach. So over to Paul Forchione from A Call to Action. Welcome, Paul Forchione from A Call to Action to the Build, Live, Give podcast. Great to have you on, Paul.
Thank you, Paul. I've been looking forward to coming on your show for weeks now. I'm a big fan. I've watched several of your episodes, so I'm excited to talk with you.
Excellent. And how many Pauls were in your class when you went through school?
I'd have to say at least 3 to 4. It would fluctuate, but yeah, Paul was a common name. I grew up in a Catholic school, so Paul was very, very, very common. Mark, all those names from the Bible came up a lot.
Yeah, as we were saying pre-show that my brother's name is Mark, and there's only the two of us, and my mum called me Mark all my life. I'm like, come on, the most common name in the world for the time, coming from a Roman Catholic family as well, and you get it mixed up. But yeah, unfortunately, I chose my son's name a good 20 years ago, I suppose. I just said, that's what I'm going to call my son if I have one. And now it's become the new Paul in Australia, which his name is Liam, because we've got an Irish background, short for William. And yeah, now unfortunately, there's lots of Liams around. So the good thing with the surname like Higgins is that there's lots of abbreviations. And in Australia, we always have nicknames. So I rarely get called Paul. So that makes it a bit easier. So I'd love to start with something your friends or family know about you that we may not.
I love to walk. I can walk for miles. I love it. It's just my time to just let my mind just wander and just look at the houses, the trees, wherever I'm at. I love to walk.
And do you take different routes, or is it a similar route each time?
I take different routes, but some of them are similar. Just depends on the day. Sometimes I feel adventurous and I want to take a different route, or some days I just kind of want to have a similar, familiar route. So it just depends on the day.
Yeah, and I've got to remember that route is the word that you in America use versus what we use, which is route. So I apologise for anyone in America that's offended by my Australian English there. And do you, like you said, you just deep in thought? Do you ever listen to podcasts whilst you're walking as well?
Absolutely. Sometimes I listen to podcasts, but most of the time I don't like to bring any electronics with me because I'm constantly on electronics for work and what have you. So sometimes it's nice to just to unplug and just listen to nature for a moment,
Sounds ideal. For you, I know you were in Bank of America for 5 years and recently left to start your own business. So I'd love to know, what was the circumstances that brought around the great leap into your own business?
Probably like 3 years ago, Bank of America hired a motivational speaker to, motivate the sales staff. The guy blew me away. He was so awesome. His presentation was so great. I went to him afterward just to tell him how great his presentation was and how much he inspired me. And asked him some questions on how he got into what he did. And I thought to myself, why not explore that? So I started taking courses. I took a career coaching course with Linda Solers out of Colorado and really started to explore it. And I started putting it into the universe. Hey, I want to be a life coach. And, at first people were like, life coach, what are you talking about? You're a mortgage guy, you do that. And I'm like, no, I'm going to be a life coach. So within probably the last year of Bank of America, I was making that a goal that January of this year that I would start, doing it full time. I was doing it while I was at Bank of America, but it was pretty tough because of the legality of it. I mean, I barely could market because, B of A didn't want me to talk too much about it because they were worried that I was going to give a mortgage advice. And so they really didn't want me to do too much with it. So I just kind of did everything through, at the time, most of it word of mouth, some little bit of marketing that I could, but word of mouth. And January of this year, I went full bore and quit Bank of America and doing it full time and have a few clients, already and rocking and rolling.
Right. And let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is probably one of the hardest times ever to start a new business, given what's happening. I know we were talking once again pre-show, and I think there's still 20,000 people identified with COVID each day in the US and 1,000 deaths. So it's a really tough environment. How has that sort of influenced what you've been doing since you've left?
Well, the first thing is I haven't beaten myself up about it. There's limiting things that I can do. Before COVID, I would do a lot of networking events through the city of Long Beach and through, an organization called Team and doing that stuff. And we're still doing it. It's through virtual. It's taken an adjustment. It's kind of funny, when you have people on your screen and then in the background, somebody's taking care of a baby and all you hear is the crying of the baby. So the concentration is sometimes tough with going through Zoom, but I've been making the adjustment of doing it through Zoom. And, a couple of my clients are out of state anyway. So, I do it through Zoom. I haven't never met them face to face. It's all been through Zoom and phone calls. So I just been kind of adapting it that way. And when things get quote unquote back to normal, love to implement some of that other stuff that I was doing before. But I've been making do through the virtual world.
Yeah. And I must admit, I'm a little biased because of my background where, I literally had to work from a hospital bed. So I had to be virtual. That's the whole way I set up my business. And that's what I help people with. So for me, it hasn't been a bump in the road. It's basically been, people unfortunately have come into my world. But I do think it is a great way to help people globally, not being restricted by geography. And I think a lot of people find the transition hard. I think one of the silver linings of COVID is that it's, like you said, you're helping people no matter where they are through a platform like Zoom. And I think that is a great business model. And it gives you enormous flexibility. You love to walk. You could be walking anywhere in the world and still helping your clients. So I do see a big silver lining in that for you. Whereas, when I left, I was sort of, geography constrained and I was coaching executives in the one area and I was seeing them face to face, and just the cost of travel, the cost of just that business model is very difficult to scale. Whereas I think what you're doing now will be easy to scale. And ultimately, you want to help more people. So I think it's a great way of doing it. Who's supporting you at the moment? You're only fresh out. Like you said, you did get some coaching accreditation, but who else is supporting you at the moment?
As far as like emotionally or?
Yeah, emotionally or with your business, who's sort of supporting you?
Emotionally, I would say probably my mom. My mom's been a guiding force in my transition. I told her what I wanted to do and she supported it 100%. She said, you got to do it. I can hear it in your voice that this is something you want to do. And she's just been that cheerleader in the background that's helped me through some of these hard times with the COVID, and keep going and keep marketing and keep your head down and not beat yourself up when you're having a bad day. That, everybody has bad days. So to answer your question, probably my mom in that sense.
Great. And from a business perspective, has anyone been helping you there?
Yes, I have a coach, Katie Smith. She's been helping me through the business side, kind of being a mentor type of person that's been helping me through this as well.
What was sort of the decision process you went through to pick Katie?
I interviewed several coaches and kind of wrote down what I was looking for in a coach. And I wanted more of a mentorship. She's done it before. She's been doing coaching for, 25 years. So I told her that I want more of this to be a kind of a apprenticeship type. Walk me through it. With a lot of times with coaching, it's a lot of, self-discovery, which I'm doing. But a lot of times I want her to give me a straight answer. Like, what did you do? And some of these coaches that you talk to, they're reluctant to give you that information because of the different codes of being a coach. You're not supposed to kind of give them the answer. They're supposed to discover it on your own. And I told her that if you have an answer for me, I want you to give it to me. I get it that I need to discover some of the stuff on my own, but I want you to say, Paul, this is way wrong. You don't want to do your business like that. That you should be doing it more this way. So, and that's worked out better for me because I have thick skin. And if she, she'll tell me, that's horrible, Paul. I mean, you got to fix that. So I like that type of personality. Just hit me straight between the eyes.
Yeah, look, I think that's a rapid way to learn. And it's interesting at the moment, I'm setting up a personal brand and I'm been debating whether I go Paul Higgins Coaching or Paul Higgins Mentoring, because Paul Higgins, very common name. It's the .com's already gone. I'm sort of with you. I actually started executive coaching and, did my accreditation at one of the best schools on the planet. And I thought, hang on, I've got 18 years of corporate experience with one of the best companies in the world. I was a director. I just find it so limiting not to be able to share some of my experience. So that's why I call myself a mentor. And I think given what you've just said, it'll be paulhigginsmentoring.com is what I'll go with. So the next section's the build section. And I know that you're pretty early on, but when you do meet up someone, whether it's a team in a virtual context, when someone says, hey, Paul, what do you do? How do you best describe that?
I tell them that I'm a mindset coach, that I help people improve their mindset. They're more productive at work. They're more present for their friends and family. And more importantly, they feel better from the inside.
Great. And people say, okay, that's great, but what does mindset mean, Paul?
Mindset is your control of basically your universe, how you see things. You have a choice. You can see things in a positive light, or you can see things at a negative light, and that's your choice. And I choose to see things of a positive light, and that's what I teach my clients to seek out the positive more than the negative, because if you seek out the positive during your day, more positive things are going to happen to you because you're seeking it out. Same way as if you were seeking out the negative. You can have a negative mindset and be like, you have a flat tire and you can say to yourself, just my luck. This type of stuff happens to me because, it does happen to you because you're looking out for that negative thing that happens in your life. And if you start training your mind in the morning to think about things that you're grateful for, it could be your spouse, husband, wife, kids, great job, whatever it is, and you think about that before you grab your phone to look at your email or social media, whatever you do, you take that time in the morning, it could be just a few minutes, and just think about things that you're grateful for. And that just sets your day off better. And I get it that things are going to happen through your day that might wreck that. But more often than not, if you start your day that way, you're going to have better days than not.
Right. And I was listening to a critique of Tony Robbins the other day, and I know he's had a massive impact, does a lot of giving back, which is great. But people saying that, you go to a lot of the feedback from his shows or his events is that, it's a spike, right? So you go get motivated and then it sort of goes back to maybe a level you were. For you, what's some advice for us listening now on how you maintain that shift from what may be negative, like you said, into more of a positive light?
I think it's all about consistency. It's a spark, but if you don't continue to do the practice, it's going to go away. I would write out your day. I would write out what you're going to do each and every day and follow through with it, because that's the key. You have to follow through. Anybody can say they're going to do something, but if they don't follow through, they're going to fall back into their own old ways. So the thing is, put a plan in place, write it down, type it up, however you want to do it, but then follow that plan. and keep consistent with it. You got to practice it every day. And after a while, it'll become muscle memory and you just do it. And that's where, I want to gear my clients to muscle memory, that they just do it. It's just part of their routine.
Yeah, so I use a habit tracker called Done, DONE. And, it just helps me follow the key habits that make me successful. Is there technology that you'd recommend to support these support the consistency in daily habits?
For me, I like to just read. I just like to read good books that just keep reinforcing those habits. So I don't have a tracker, so to speak, except for me just writing it down and just looking at it on a daily basis, going, okay, have I done that? Have I done my gratitude? Have I done different steps during the day? Have I done it? That's pretty much what it is for me. It's just what I've written down, what I'm going to do, and I check it off. And I feel good when I check it off, like, okay, I did that. It just, you set yourself up for success for the day.
Great. And just take us through how you do the gratitude part of your day.
For me, before I wake up, or after I wake up, obviously, and I don't turn on any radio, don't turn on any TV, don't look at my phone, don't open up the laptop, and I just start to think, okay, Paul, what is good right now in your life? What can you give gratitude towards? What I try to do is I try to pick something different every single day. Like I said, it could be, good spouse or whatever it is, a trait that you like about yourself, anything. And when you do that every single day, it just puts you, like I said, and for me, it puts me in the right mindset to really want to attack the day.
Excellent. And look, the little element that I do at the end of each day, so mine's at the end where I just mention the key people that I've touched or helped today. And most of those are personal. So that's the way that I look at that gratitude. So your ideal clients. So, I know everyone could do with the help. I'm sure we've got that little, devil on the right side of our shoulder, putting some negative thoughts. I think we all have them, but it's how you cope, as you said, with that. But, who at the moment are you really focusing on to help?
The clients that I have right now, most of my clients are of the younger age, from 40 and below. And one client, he's going through divorce and such, so I'm helping him with the mindset on that. Not the legality, obviously, that's out of my realm. But just, I would say my ideal clients are people that may be a little bit lost in some sort of way, but they have an open mind for change. Because if they don't have an open mind for change, I can't help them. I could tell them, you should do X, Y, and Z. If they're not willing to change, then they're just going to be staying at the same spot.
And how do you determine that they've got an open mind for change?
Just by the interview process, I always ask them to tell a little bit about themselves. So I do a 30-minute free consultation with them just to kind of get to know them on more of a personal level. And you can tell just by the conversation if that they're willing to change or if they're not willing to change.
Okay, great. Well, what we're going to do is something a little unique to the podcast, and we're going to have a look at your LinkedIn profile because, most people these days, the first thing that people will go to is their LinkedIn profile when you meet someone. I'm assuming you do the exact same thing when you're networking with people in the team, like you said. So it's pretty obvious. What I'll do is just go through your profile quickly, the key sections, and give you some feedback. So the first thing I think is that the header, okay? Now, at the moment, you've just got the generic header.
Uh-huh.
Right. I love to see a header, and, you can create one in Canva. Canva's, free to do it, and it literally can take you, if you're first using it, might take you half an hour. After that, it takes you 5 minutes. And what I always love to see is a clear identification of who you help and how you help them, right?
Okay.
So it's either how or the result. So for me, we help coaches and consultants build online businesses to fund lifestyle. So when someone sees my profile, they go, okay, I can put you in a box straight away. I sort of know whether you're for me. So that's the first thing on your header. Then the next thing is your headline. So you've got motivation coach that helps people improve their mindset. So I always love with the ideal client is that, you're not trying to fill every stadium in the world. You're only trying to get, potentially 1,000 seats in a stadium. So that helps people is a little broad. So what I like to use is a formula. I help X to achieve Y through Z. Okay, so for mine, it's I help coaches and consultants to build online businesses to fund lifestyles through my membership and group program. So once again, people start to go, okay, I know what Paul does. You want to make it as easy as possible for them. So they're the two things. It's like a website above the fold. That's where people will get that first impression. So that's really important. Now, another little thing you can do is in your surname, you can actually put what you do. So for me, I've got Paul Higgins -mentor, right? We had that conversation before about a coach and a mentor. So I'm a mentor. So people once again go, okay. And the great thing is every time you have a footprint on LinkedIn, when you comment, etc. on LinkedIn, it's going to show the fact that your name and what you do. Okay? So you can choose whatever that is. The about section. So the about section, at the moment, I can tell you haven't really elaborated on your about section. This is got to be client facing. It's not about you. It's not a resume. It's not, you're back in corporate America. It's actually people need to read this and say, hey, Paul gets me. He understands me. So I always start with a little bit about yourself so that, people do know what you're about. And that's sort of your key achievements because people want to trust you straight away. Okay, so start with that. And then the key thing is basically talk about their pain points or their opportunities. Okay, so it's really, and you do that as you interview more people. Every time you hear what their challenges are, you write that down and then you put that into your LinkedIn profile and you use the language that they use. Then how you help them get through that, and then the next step, the best ways to get in contact with you. And always have clear call to action. Now, I noticed in your contact section, right, that you've got an email, 2 emails there, but you don't have your website as an example. So make sure in the contact information, you've got all your details. So people don't have to take another step and, try to find it. It's all there for them. And in the bottom of your about section, it's very clear. How am I going so far?
Good. I'm writing it down.
Well, the good thing is you get to have a recording to listen to as well. So then the next section is the featured section. And what I recommend is that you take one of your best articles, because now what you can do, best posts. So on a post, you can just go up to the top right of the post and you can feature that post now. So you can do that. And then I recommend having, 3 videos. So one is, the process, how you work. Another one is about you, which is really important, a 3 to 5 minute video of you, who you are. And then the other one is a customer testimonial. So that's in the featured section. And then the experience section, I won't go through this in a lot of detail other than the fact that, once again, it's got to be written about the client, your ideal client in mind, not about you, right?
Okay.
So if you've got your work experience, that's cool. Okay, so, your Bank of America, yes, you want to have some key results that you got there so people can, because what you're getting them to do is like, know, and trust you in a very short period of time. But on the experience section, what I do is just talk about how I can help them right away. So, I've got my post LinkedIn daily, so that's really good content. I've got my podcast interviews. I've got a pre-recorded masterclass. So I'm helping them to get value straight away from me. And then I've also got some testimonials. And then what I'm really happy to see that you've got your podcast as an experience. So I think that's great. I've got both my book and my podcast as an experience so that, you're really showing your greatest assets. For you, I know at the moment they're gray. So what you need to do is just go into the company and just put the logos in there, because if people see gray, they don't think, well, hang on, is this person real, or, are they professional? So if you have a little logo, once again, even if you do it off Fiverr, it's very simple. Skills and endorsements. So, always recommend having about 40 in there and have your top 3 there. So I know you've got motivational speaker, coaching and leadership development. That's probably in line. And just get, your clients to make sure they do it. Now, the one thing that's probably missing, there's probably 2 things here. One is any voluntary experience that you do is always great to have. And the other one is recommendations. So even if you give recommendations now, but all your clients that you're working with, I know it's just new for you, but the clients you're working with, you can add their, ask them for a testimonial, and, that just builds over time. So that's a quick summary there. For everyone listening, you can go to blgdownload.com, and I've got some 9 tips on how to do a LinkedIn profile. But I think, being new, Paul, it's great to take the opportunity to give you some support as you come out, because most people I interview are post, they're sort of 2 to 5 years in, you're a few months in one of the most difficult times in the world. So I wanted to give you as much value as I could.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So any questions you've got on anything that I went through there?
No, it was pretty straightforward. No, I appreciate it. So, I have my notes here and I'll have the recording. So I'll definitely make some changes for the better.
Brilliant. And anyone wants to just see an example, which is my profile, you can go to blgprofile.com and that'll take you straight to my LinkedIn profile. Excellent. So before we go into the live section, I'd like to show you how to get 3 to 5 new clients a month on LinkedIn by spending 30 minutes a day, even if you don't know where to start and have limited marketing funds. That may sound a little familiar, Paul. So go to blgclick.com and watch a pre-recorded free masterclass. You'll learn 3 key steps: the secret formula to 10 times your views and be an authority on LinkedIn. Number 2, the 7 killer elements to get 50 likes and 20 comments on every post. And the third one is the scripts to get 80% response rates to your LinkedIn messages. Just go to blgclick.com and watch my free pre-recorded masterclass. And many of the activities mentioned need the support of a virtual assistant. So if you don't have one and you're interested in one, you can learn more at buildlivegive.com/VA. So the next section's the live section, Paul. So other than, what you've talked about before, which is been having gratitude, which is fantastic, what are some other daily habits that help you be successful? And I suppose we've also talked about walking as well.
I would say another daily activity is surround yourself with people that bring you up, so to speak. Like when you go to the gym, you always want to work out with somebody that's stronger than you so that you're being pushed. And the same thing in life. You want to have your tribe be more successful than you are so that they raise the bar for you so you have somewhere to go. I think that's huge. And people that bring you up, not bring you down, don't distract you on your goals and what you want to do, or be jealous of you because of whatever you're doing that they're not doing, that, they have your best interests at heart. So the people that you surround yourself is huge. So that I would say that's a big thing in my life, that I like to surround myself that are more successful than I am. That way I can reach for where they're at in their career or in their personal life or in their spiritual life, whatever it is.
Brilliant. Well, the next section is the give section, which I think goes nicely into that. So what's a charity or a community you're passionate about and why?
For me, it's St. Jude. I have a soft spot for children that are sick because of my own struggles with having cerebral palsy and me being told as a infant, that I wouldn't, told by my mom, or the doctor telling my mom that I wouldn't be able to walk. And thank goodness that she got some other opinions and found somebody that was going to be able to help me. So I spent 10 years of my childhood intense physical therapy so that I can live an active life. And I have. I've played varsity baseball. I've run a marathon. Wasn't easy. And these are the things that I share with my clients, because I feel that it's important that I be vulnerable with them so that they'll be vulnerable with me. Why should they share their vulnerable things with me if I'm not going to be vulnerable with them and know where I'm coming from and why I want to help? So that's definitely the reason why I am big on the St. Jude.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people, including myself, I've got to be honest here, know the term cerebral palsy, but just tell us a little bit more what impacts it had on you physically.
Okay, so basically cerebral palsy happens at birth. Basically in the labor, I wasn't getting enough oxygen to the brain. Because of that, it affects one side of the body where it could cause paralyzation, poor motor skills, and it's a disability that you're going to have the rest of your life. It's permanent. So basically, you have to do a lot of, as a youngster, you got to do a lot of physical therapy, work on your muscles because they atrophy because of the cerebral palsy. So you really got to work the side that is affected. Generally, it's on the right side of your body. So, and that's where it affected me. So it's just a lot of exercising, a lot of walking like I've been doing, just being active to help me. Thankfully, it also can help hurt your voice. And thankfully, that didn't affect me because it could be very hard for somebody who has cerebral palsy and affects the voice because they think they're slow and they're not. You know, they may talk with a speech impediment, but their mind is fine. So to hear some people talking to them slowly just hurts my heart because you don't need to talk to them that way. You just talk to them like a regular person. They understand that their just speech is a little bit different.
Yeah, we've got some great ads actually on TV at the moment in Australia that have that. They have the, I suppose how you should and shouldn't talk to someone with cerebral palsy. And yeah, my dad hasn't got cerebral palsy, but he had polio. Well, he's got polio, got that as a child and had a similar, thing with you. Spent most of his childhood in hospital. It's interesting that you're such a motivating person, and same with my dad. Like it's as if he had all these bad days when he was a child, and he's no longer ever going to have another bad day. And he always looks at the positives. So well done for you for doing the same. It's, I've got tingles listening to it. I've also got a charity that I support. All my book proceeds and a portion of my revenue go to it. It's called the Purple House. You can go to purplehouse.org.au to find out more. So the last section's the rapid response questions. So what I'll ask you is a question and you give me a rapid fire response. So what are your top 3 personal effectiveness tips?
We talked about a little bit of them. Number 1 is gratitude, having gratitude, looking at things that are going right in your life, not what's going wrong in your life. Number 2 is love yourself. Don't beat yourself up. I mean, if you have a bad day or down in the dumps a little bit, don't beat yourself up because you had a bad day. It happens to all of us. And you're entitled to have bad days, and you're entitled to feel sad and angry. It's okay. It's just you just need to be aware that you're feeling angry and sad because at some point in your time, you're going to feel like, I don't want to be angry and sad anymore. And that point, you can change those emotions once you're aware of that. The third thing is you can do whatever you want to do. You just got to put your mind to it. You just got to have belief. The power of the belief is so strong. We have so much capability that we don't even know, and we just got to limit belief because we have so much to offer. Everybody has a unique talent, and you just got to use it for the world to see.
Great. And the next one is what technology is essential to running your business?
I love Centauri. It's a coaching app that keeps my affairs in order, my payments from my clients, my scheduling. Pretty sharp app, so I enjoy using it.
Great. And how do you spell Centauri?
You know what? I'm going to have to look that up.
That's all right. We'll look it up and put it in the show notes for everyone.
Okay.
Yeah. And what's your best source of new ideas?
My best source of new ideas, when I have those ideas, it's when I'm walking. And it's when I let my mind just wander. And then I'm like, that would be a great video for me to do for my business. Or, this would be a nice post. It'd be a nice marketing. So it's when I'm walking and I'm just letting my mind wander and hearing the peace. That's when I start to get those ideas rolling in my head. And I come home and write them down, put them in my computer and start working on them.
Great. And the last question's the biggest one. I'd leave it to the end for that reason. You've given us a bit of a glimpse, but what impact do you want to leave on the world?
I want everybody to know that they're special in their own way. And don't put yourself down. You have something to offer the world. And just whatever you do, try to find that passion. And don't be discouraged if it takes you forever to find it. I mean, there's people that I talk to in their 60s, 70s, 80s that don't know what their passion is, but what they're doing is they're searching for it. And it changes because in your 20s, you're a different person than when you are in your 30s, 40s, 50s, and so on and so forth. So if you find your passion, it may change, and that's okay. Just go out and find it again.
Brilliant. Excellent. So such a powerful journey. As you said, you struggled through as a child, but you've never given up. You now want to help other people do that so that they can feel better in the inside, which I think is a beautiful way. So you can find out more at Actions and Limits podcast, and you can get that at acalltoaction.coach. So Paul's been absolute brilliant having another Paul on the show, but in particular having you on the show and sharing all your wisdom and knowledge. And we wish you all the best for the rest of this journey, knowing you're just at the starting gates. So Paul, thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Paul. I appreciate the platform and I enjoyed myself today. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you. Bye. That was a great interview with Paul, and I've got a confession to make. I should have spoken about his background earlier because it is so motivational. I know I left it to a little bit late in the podcast, but if you want to find out more about his story, go to the links in the show notes and find them. And you can get all the show notes at buildlivegive.com. What was your biggest takeaway from Paul? Please share it on your socials mentioning Paul. He would absolutely love that. If you believe someone you know would benefit from the show, please share it with them. You can learn the 3 steps to finding and converting your ideal clients on LinkedIn in a pre-recorded masterclass. Just go to blgclick.com. Please take action to build your business and lifestyle and stay well.
Thank you for listening to the Build, Live, Give podcast. If you like what you heard, please subscribe and leave us a review. It would mean the world to us.